Oops. Focus. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, your video came up. Good.
I hope. Jeez.
Well, I mean, in my vMix, it popped up.
Okay.
Okay. I think people can hear us, so let me go ahead and make it where they can see us.
Uh-oh.
You okay with it?
Sure.
All right, let me put pre-show up there. There we go.
Pre-show.
All right. We got at least Christina out there. I know there's other people watching. They just haven't said anything yet, but Christina.
That's okay.
And since this is our first show since the holidays,
Yes.
hope everybody had a great holiday.
Absolutely. I did. How was your holiday, Mike?
It was good. I was good. I got a cold. We were going to do this show last week, but I got a cold. And hey, Jan, I got a cold, and I'm still recovering from it. But last Sunday, man, I felt horrible, and Monday too.
You sounded horrible too. You were. It wasn't so much that you couldn't do the show, but you were coughing like every 2 seconds.
Yes.
And
No one wanted to hear that.
No.
You know what the weird thing is now it seems like when I get colds, it affects my voice every time now.
Yeah.
And it's still not totally back to normal.
Well, Danny and I have noticed over the years, and I don't know if it's just getting older or what, but it's more and more upper respiratory.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if the air quality is just not as good as it used to be, what it is, but I never used to suffer from allergies or any of that stuff when I was a kid. And now every year I feel like I'm going to die. And I used to make fun of people. I'd be like, allergy. I mean, come on, you get the sniffles. Come on, you get a little sore throat, but it's not anything that serious. And man, I'll tell you what, allergies every year, they take so much out of you. And I totally sympathize. So I'm getting some nice colored green bar. There we go.
There you go.
A show broadcast.
Yeah, so last time we
We've
tried
done
this, it got a little choppy. So if it does that again, I'll have to turn it off. But
Okay.
it seems to be doing okay right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one year that it went into my chest, and it seems like ever since then, every cold does that. But here lately, it's been more, affecting my voice, affecting my throat.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so
Mine
that's why
too.
we didn't do last week because not only was I not feeling well, but I was coughing like AD said, and my voice was just awful.
It was like 3 octaves lower than it is
Yes.
right now, too. You were doing your Barry White was great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Whenever I went into work, I took off Monday. When I went into work Tuesday, the people at work were saying, it just seems creepy. Why are you doing that? I said, I'm not trying. I'm not trying to do that.
I'm not trying. So, oh, hey Jan, how you doing? Jan says hi.
Hey, Jan. Been a long time since you and I talked, AD.
Yes. I posted you on. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to start posting this show and the show that Janice and I do together over on my Patreon page as kind of bonus material because I remember during the Arcanum how much people really enjoyed critiquing.
Yeah.
And it really inspired them. Oh boy, it sounds like I'm going to get your thing tonight. It really inspires them to create and go out and shoot more. And so, yeah, I felt it was cool to. I don't know why I never did it before. I guess I just didn't think of it or something. But so I shared the link over there. Hopefully, people can hang out with us and
Good.
have a good time. And yeah, and then tomorrow night I'm doing my first live stream of the year. And I'll be featuring the brand new Luminar 3 with libraries tomorrow, and also talking about a very important subject, which I know you're going to want to hang out for this, Mike, because tomorrow I'm going to be talking about video editors other than Premiere that feel a lot like Premiere, but don't cost a subscription rate, because Luminar is kind of, that's what they're going for, right? They're kind of trying to show that you don't have to pay a subscription to get a good photo editor and library manager, and it does do that very well. In fact, I'm using it almost exclusively right now. Don't tell Adobe, but that's and so so I went and searched first, because what's tying me to Adobe is the fact that I have to have a video editor, because I'm very much tied to video. And so I have to have Premiere. And so, well, if I pay for Premiere, then I might as well just buy the thing that I get everything with. So, so I'm going to be talking about that. And I found a new program out there that I like. It doesn't have all the support I need yet, but boy, I'm telling you, for the price, it's $149 with a year's worth of free updates to the latest versions. And when they come out with new effects and everything, you get that for a whole year. And then there's a subscription, like a 1-year fee you can pay if you want to get an update after that. If you decide you don't and you want to wait 5 years and then get an update, you can do that. You can just wait 5 years and pay their small fee and get the latest version.
Like we used to do with Photoshop. I wouldn't get every upgrade. I would wait.
Right. And so I was very excited to see that out there and available. So I'm going to be sharing that with everybody so that they can check it out. And there's no affiliation with them or anything like that. I just was really amazed at how much it was like Premiere, but it wasn't Premiere. So it was really easy for me to sit down, throw a video in it, and start working on a video and feeling comfortable. And to me, that's like, I've told you this before, that's like the most important part of any piece of software.
Yeah.
How much can I make it like the piece that I've been using for 10 years so that I can transition easily, so. Yeah. So I'll be doing that tomorrow at same time, 8 o'clock.
Okay. We'll have to do all that again later when we talk about your channel.
Well, that's fine. I just want to tell you, because I know that you're interested in that kind of stuff.
I am. And Jan, you're not being a pest. Thanks for reminding me to record. I had the sheet here. So, and I did the blue sheet you gave me on storage space. I did all that earlier. So that's why you don't see that. But I did that earlier. Check that. Because I haven't done a show in maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a busy time of the year for everybody,
and I get a little rusty, so I have to come down here and get everything, spun back up and make sure I'm not missing something. So
Cool.
anyway, not being a past, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I'll 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I'll watch that, and we're going to have to talk about all that again. I'm really interested to see your feedback on the new Luminar because that was one of the things that was missing.
Yeah, I have some strong feelings. So
Okay.
it's yeah, you'll see.
Okay.
Suspense.
And I went out. I haven't done any sports shooting in a while. Finally, I did that yesterday afternoon. Went out and shot a basketball game. Man, the noise just robs your sharpness. And when you're shooting basketball indoors, any indoor sport, I mean, you're shooting ISO. You're lucky if you can get away with 3200, but you're often going 6400, even higher, just to get 500 of a second.
Yeah, and it's why a lot of sports photographers shoot black and white too, and concert photographers too.
Yeah.
Because of the red light or the low light just to bring that film kind of look into it.
Yep.
It's tough.
Okay, I'm going to take away pre-show, and we'll be starting here in just a minute.
Cool.
Like always, got to wait for Facebook to get going. What I probably should do is have that start 2 minutes before the 8 o'clock. That's probably what I need to do in the future.
Yeah, Facebook's got its own thing going on as usual.
It does. Why? So hold on a second as it should have gone live, but I don't see it yet on Facebook.
Well, that's part of their thing. They make you wait, Mike. You'll do it when we say you'll do it.
Yep.
Enjoy. Man, I can't believe it. I finally cleaned my monitors, and I can't believe it. I can see.
Yeah, cleaning your monitors. I often, I don't know how this stuff gets here. I don't eat at my desk very often. Don't eat at my desk very often.
I don't either.
We're in pre-show here a little bit. But somehow I get specks every once in a while on the monitor somewhere, and you edit in a photo and you go, is that on the monitor? And you go to scratch it off. Yeah, yep, okay, that's on the monitor. That's why I couldn't get rid of that. All right. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let me get our second shot ready. All right. Recording. All right, this is jpeg2RAW show. Nope, start over. All right, this is jpeg2RAW photo review show number 43, and we're wrapping up the November. We're doing the November photos. Now, this is January. The December best of 2018 photos are currently being reviewed and voted on, and shortly we'll have a show going over some of those, and we'll be announcing the winners and that kind of stuff. So that's coming. But tonight we're going to do the November images for 2018, and let me get over and show you how you can enter if you want to. Right now it says December. That's because I'm a little behind. The holidays have messed me up. I've been sick. My voice is still funny. But this will be updated soon. So this is where you go, jpeg2raw.com/contest. You can enter right there once I set it up for January. And if you want to enter on Facebook, if you're still on Facebook, I know a lot of you are, but a lot of you are not. If you're still on Facebook, the links to the two Facebook groups are right on that same page, jpeg2raw.com/contest. And that'll get you entered into the contest each month. All right. So tonight, like I said, we're going to be going over the November images. We're going to start like we always do with the beginners images. If I can, I got to get this thing ready. I am rusty. We're going to go to the beginners. In both groups tonight, the theme was open, like we've been doing for a while, but we encouraged seasonal images. Okay.
Yep.
So first one up is not that image, this image from Nancy Smith. I'll get some of the cobwebs out here as we get rolling. This one's from Nancy Smith, and Nancy says, nothing says fall or November like pumpkin pie. This was the first time in years I've baked and couldn't resist a photo. And that looks like a fantastic pumpkin pie.
Yeah, and before we talk about this photo, let's just stop right there. Um, a lot of times when you're talking about photos, you have to ask yourself that question right there. I mean, do you look at that and be like, man, I want a piece of that pie?
I
I mean,
actually
if
do,
you
yeah.
like pumpkin pie and it looks good and you're like, man, I think the photo has succeeded at that point. That's just my personal opinion. Now we can talk about focus and all this kind of stuff. It looks like she might have tried to focus stack a little bit here. I don't know, or done some repair to the photo because I see some kind of parts of the image that are a little bit fuzzy that doesn't make sense to me in the depth of the image. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah.
If you're seeing the same stuff on the right-hand side of just below the edge of the pie and the plate there looks like there's a fuzzy area in there where there might have been some photo repair done, or she maybe stacked a few images together. I don't know. But that's what my only thing I would say about this is the focus field seems off to me. The pie looks a little fuzzy, but the whipped cream looks like it's in focus. Is that what you're seeing too?
It's hard for me to see on this little screen, but yes, I see some of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and if that's the case, and I don't know if Nancy's out there or not tonight, if she watches this and can let us know, but I'm pretty sure this is a focus stacked image, and I could be wrong again. If it is, it most likely looks like it may have been done in Photoshop, because Photoshop, even though it has layer blending and whatnot, it's not very good. Focus stackers like Zarine and Helicon focus stackers are really they're really mathematically superior to Photoshop, and so you're going to get better results using those tools. They are a little bit more expensive. I would say Zarine if you really want to get into focus stacking. And I don't know if that's what she did here, but it certainly looks like it to me. And I'm not sure, but I would have tried to get a little bit more of the focus on the pie itself, because I think that star here is the pie, right?
Right, right.
So you'd want the entire pie, or at least the lion's share, the front inch of the pie in focus, with everything else being a little out. And it does look like it's a little front focus to me, but then I see other things that are out of focus behind that focus point, and then other things that are in focus. That's why my eye is confused. And focus stacking can do that if the software gets confused, which it looks like that may have happened here. But with all of that said, like I said and started this out, it's a successful photo because I want to eat that pie.
Yes.
Yeah, so
and
the color, the color and everything is great. So.
Yeah. I think that front edge of the pie, where we can see the texture of the pumpkin in there, would have been nice if that was a little bit sharper. Yes, throughout that whole thing.
So Nancy, I'm just reading Nancy's notes here. So she says it was a stacked image. She was reaching for straws to find a photo, and it was rushed. I think this is great, though. Nancy she produces every month. She always puts something out there. And folks, if you're watching right now, she's a great role model, I think, for anybody who wants to learn more about photography or wants to be involved in a show like this. This is the kind of images that we like to see. Nancy puts it out there knowing that, I want to learn more about this particular thing. And so she submitted an image that we can talk about. Or she may have put it out thinking, other people are going to want to know about focus stacking and doing that sort of thing. And so if you're not familiar with focus stacking, essentially it's taking different focus points throughout the depth of the photo and then putting them in this piece of software that figures out those focus points and stitches them all together like a panorama, only it's a focus panorama. And you can really control the depth of how much of the image is in focus and how much isn't. And like I said, Photoshop is really raw when it comes to doing it. It can do it, but it doesn't do it very well. And the other thing is, too, focused stacked images to be successful, you have to take a lot of photos, a lot of them, especially if you're shooting with a wide open aperture like f1.4 or f2.8 to get the light. Then you've got to stack maybe 50, 60 images together. And yeah, it's quite a process. And if you go and you study like some of the insect groups where they photograph and do focus stacking on insects, these guys are taking 150 and 200 photos and then stacking those photos together to get pinpoint accuracy of focus through the entire photo.
You know, our friend Don Komarachka, I think he takes hundreds of those
Yes,
snowflakes.
yeah,
And does that.
absolutely.
I will tell
Yep.
you. So, with all that said, and maybe
Yep.
this will Nancy will like this. As I was looking at the photo, I could have sworn I smelled pumpkin in this room. So Nancy, if that was definitely a
Very good.
success because when I look at it, I'm now hungry for pumpkin pie, and I can swear I smell pumpkin right now, and there's no pumpkin being baked anywhere in this house. So you
Yes,
got me with
yeah.
that.
It's yeah, and if people are curious, Christina just posted in the chat. I'll put a link in there, Christina, for everybody to find out. Zareen, Janice just did a really nice show with the creator of this software, and he was very fascinating. And some of the stuff that you can do with Zareen is unreal, Mike. He has a 3D movie of an object where the camera never moved. I don't know how he did it, but the software can make a 3D model of the object and turn it just by taking normal photos. It was absolutely amazing, but he showed it on the show. I'm going to post a link here, guys, in the chat. I know you can't do this, but Mike has given me the great ability to be a moderator so that I can. So there you go. There's the and it's 30-day free trial.
Wait, where did you post it?
I posted it in the chat over on YouTube. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So if they want that, Mike, do you want that? You can grab it from YouTube and throw it over on Facebook if you want to.
I'm just not seeing it yet on YouTube for some reason.
Oh, it's very slow.
Yeah.
About 30 seconds. The engineer, the guy who created Zareen, just did this for himself, and then it ended up one of those things of actually, a lot of people liking it, and he ended up releasing it, and now it's his job. This is what he does for a living. And he was on the show, on Janice's show, Macro Chat Live, and he was just a really cool dude. And he just he talked about, his name is Rick Littlefield, by the way, if you're looking for him. It's R-I-K, Littlefield. And he's just a super awesome guy, and he's just this engineer dude, and talking about all these cool photos of butterfly wings and stuff that got him inspired to make a piece of software to do this work. And now people make these movies. The movies are amazing. If you can, I think they're in the gallery of this 3D stuff is like ridiculous. I'm like, you're just doing that with a film camera?
Wow.
So anyways, not to get too far off track, and we got to move along, but I did want to share that with everybody.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
Pick it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Up next, and I still don't see that link, but once I do, I'll post it over in Facebook for those watching on Facebook.
Yeah, guys, let us know out in YouTube chat if you got that link. If you didn't, for some reason, okay, yeah, it looks like Christina said she got the link. So
Odd.
maybe I'm in a weird chat. Maybe I'm in an alternate universe, Mike. Could be.
All right. We'll keep going.
Speaking of that, let's go to the next photo.
Yeah, speaking of that, up next is this one from William Alexander. And when I first saw this, it reminded me of Scott Norris, and he mentions this in his comments. William says, long history of transination with the Milwaukee Art Museum edition. This shot reminds of the full-size architect approval mock-ups that stood out front early in the construction. Must give proper shout out to Scott Norris for the process and inspiration.
Yeah, and so they didn't get the link, just so you know, Mike.
Okay.
We'll make sure everybody gets the link. We'll put it in the description of the video after we get done. So stick around for that, and we'll make sure everybody gets it. So yeah, when I saw this, I was fascinated by this architecture as well. I have so many pictures of the inside. The Milwaukee Art Museum, if anybody out there gets a chance, I mean, you go to Milwaukee for the beer. I'm not going to lie. It's a great beer town. It still is a great beer town. It's a wonderful place. We walked all over the city. It was gorgeous. But the Milwaukee Art Museum is a piece of art itself. Now, I've been to a lot of art museums, and some of them are kind of, they're a little cool here and there. But this whole museum is just, you walk around it thinking you're like in the Starship Enterprise. It's like another world in there. And this is one of my favorite museums. And I've been to a lot of them in New York, Chicago, San Francisco. But the Milwaukee Art Museum was amazing. And Scott and I had a wonderful time when we were there. And this photo just brought me right back. And yeah, William, you can totally see Scott's influence here.
Yes.
And I think you did a great job in this. My only criticism that I would have, and Scott will tell you the same thing, is you do have a dark, and you did a good job of making it not too dark, but you do have a triangle in the corner of your composition. If you were to clone that out, it would not be missed. No one would know that you cloned it out, and it just would not draw it. That triangle draws your eye to that side, which is kind of okay because you do have the light part there of the arch. This is one of the archways in the hall that goes along the length of the museum. So these two hallways, and have you ever seen the outside of that museum, the sculpture that looks like a giant bird? Yeah. And so when you go inside, these long hallways stretch out each side, and then the center part of the art museum is like a cathedral, and it's just gorgeous. And I think we featured a photo on the show a while back. It was the same photo that I took when I was there because I was so like blown away at the light contrast and what the light does on the inside of this art museum. Anybody who want to visit an art museum or you're not into art museums, go to this one because you will be after you go to this one. It's absolutely beautiful. I think, William, you did a great job of capturing that. I mean, this is two photos right in a row here, capturing the exact feel of what you will feel when you go there. So I think William did a great job. And my only thing was just that dark in the corner. Always be careful of triangles and dark triangles in the corners. Yep.
Great job, William. And I definitely, when I first looked at it, I immediately thought of Scott Norris. Yes. So great job. All right. Up next, and we're still in the beginners group. Up next.
It should be said too that Scott's a Milwaukee native. So we mean that with like, we didn't see your photo and think you copied Scott. Yeah. It just, whenever I see the Milwaukee Art Museum, Scott has done so many amazing photos from there that if you've seen any of his work, you will think of him when you see it. So your photo stands on its own though. So I just don't want to be thinking.
But William referenced Scott also.
Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely.
As inspiration. Okay, so this one is from Jay Purcell.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah, yep. You know Jay.
I know him.
And Jay says, taken with my P20 phone. I'm not sure what a P20 is. But there's so many phones out there. I don't know all the phones. Taken with my P20 phone, touched up marginally with Google Photos.
Yeah. Good stuff. I told Jay that when he submitted, he was afraid, well, I don't have a DSLR camera. I'm not doing it. I said, it doesn't matter. If you have a way to get an image into the camera, what matters is we would mostly talk about composition, I think, on this show.
Sure.
And leading lines and all that kind of stuff. And, I think that really, I think this, Jay submitted. Oh, hey, awesome.
RCI Construction.
Cool. I think that Jay, I told him to submit a photo, and I know he's not probably up at this time of night. He is in England, so Jay's submitting from the UK. Probably we don't recognize that phone either, Mike. But yeah, I think this is a great shot near where he just moved to in Liverpool. He's got some cool views there, and this is just very. I wouldn't have guessed, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't have guessed this was out of a cell phone when I first looked at it. The only giveaway that I get is the format. And I would have thought, I didn't even look at the name, actually. But I would have thought Micro Four Thirds image. And I'm not a big fan of that format. And I think if I had any criticism here at all for Jay, I think I would have made this a little more epic, Jay, by choosing whether or not we want to feature the sky or if we want to feature the beach. Because your horizon line is in the middle, it's a struggle between where the actual subject feature is here. And you do have, again, that dark triangle in the corner. Always tough with beach shots. Always, if there's any type of landmass, rocks, any of that kind of stuff, just always try to, if you're going to tilt your shot a little like this and look down the beach, which is okay. Leading lines are okay. He's got like that cool mast thing out there that he's kind of got. That to me is the subject of the image. I kind of am looking at that the most because the lines, all of the lines are kind of slanted towards that way. They're kind of going that way, right? But the dark in the bottom corner of the pebbles there is kind of detracting my eye a little bit. It's pretty and I want to look at it, but is that my subject? Is it, if we put too many pretty things, especially if they're cordoned off on their own in an image, then our eyes just go, and it suddenly we don't have any focus of the image and we're not drawn in at that point. We're kind of drawn all over the photo and we don't look at it as long as I think that we should and enjoy it as much. So I would probably crop this into like a 16:9. I think that the colors through the water are very pretty. I think the sky is up there in the blue, so I probably would have chopped most of the sky out here and made it mostly about the water and the beach, and that would have probably drawn us in a little closer to all of those windmills out on the horizon. Those are windmills out in the ocean. I think they look absolutely
look like,
and so that would have kind of brought us more to that, I think. So I think putting your horizon on the upper thirds and then going with the 16:9 crop with this would have really given it that epic kind of look that I think Jay goes for. And he's submitted other images. In fact, I think he was a finalist or a runner-up last year around Christmas time. Yeah, and so he does very well for just using a cell phone. And folks, the only bad camera is the one that you don't have with you. And I often will go to like little pawn shops or places and buy old style cameras. And I did this with a bunch of my friends. I bought a cheap 4-megapixel camera, and I forced my friends while they were with me in Yellowstone to spend 1 day with the camera each day. They had to take this camera with them and take photos. And then and the whole idea was we grouped all the photos together to look at them, and they realized that it's not the camera. It's the person behind the camera that makes the photos interesting. So it doesn't really matter. It's great if you have a high-end camera. That's awesome. But if you just want to learn about the art and you want to always make sure you have something to take photos with you.
Yeah, I mean, today's cell phones take such great photos.
Oh, and the new software mods that they have out now, Mike, the night modes where they do super resolution. I don't know if you've seen any of that. iPhone's doing it and Android's doing it. Amazing, no noise, none of that artifacting you used to get on a cell phone. Just absolutely amazing what you can get out of a cell phone now. Now, I'm not telling everybody that they're as good as DSLRs as far as when it comes to printing and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you what, I use my cell phone a lot more than I used to now.
Yeah.
I really
and
do.
Of course, for most of us, if you're shooting with your cell phone, you're shooting JPEG. So you're missing out on that too. But like you said, the best camera is the one you have with you. And even times when I was in Alaska, I had my 70-200 on my camera body sometimes, and I didn't want to keep switching lenses. So if I wanted a wider angle thing, I was shooting with the cell phone. So
absolutely.
I was using both.
Right, and you can shoot panoramas like quite easily with a cell phone and then assemble them together and get a big resolution photo as well. Yeah. And it used to be you could only do that in good light, but now you can do it in just about any light. It's the new Pixel. I have the Pixel 2 and they have the Pixel 3 out now. They all shoot in RAW. So
good.
I can process RAW out of those. And I think iPhone's going that way as well. So,
all right,
pretty cool.
Good. All right, up next in the beginners group is this image from, let me get her name, Kristen Anderson. Yes. Kristen says, first fresh 48 session. I think that means 48 hours old, I'm going to guess. If she's out there, she can tell us. First fresh 48 session. I did detailed shots of the ears also. This photo is resized for social media.
Cool.
And I don't know if we got a problem with Facebook. Not sure.
Hey, there's Kristen.
Yeah, she came over here because she was over on Facebook, and for whatever reason, Facebook seems like it's not streaming anymore.
And I will tell you guys, you want to really see these photos and get a good look at them. 1080p over on YouTube is much better, anyways. So,
Yeah,
Facebook, 720, I think, still, right? Or have they
they're
finally?
720. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think
So,
I don't know. Facebook is having all kind of problems. I'm going to stop that stream. Okay, we're over here just on YouTube tonight.
on the YouTubes.
All right, so back to Kristen's image.
Well, this
And
is a beautiful photo, and she's focusing on the hand, and again, great job here. I like the light and the look. What do you think, Mike? You're more of a portrait guy than I am.
I am.
More so than I am. So.
I think these 48-hour sessions, these infant sessions, you're always focused on those little details because they're
Yep.
fresh. These things are they're just born and focused on that. If anything, I would maybe even a tighter shot on the hand or something like that. I know she did the ears, the toes, all those things are just
Yeah.
fascinating to see. But with this image, yeah, I like this image. I'd maybe crop the top part out so I don't have that distraction. Other than that, for me, I like it.
Yeah, it's the one thing for me, the only thing for me was just the partial shot of the chin it makes me want to see the baby's face as well.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, a little tighter, which can be tough. This all kudos to you, Kristen, because I could never do this job. I don't have the patience, and folks that can do it, I have the utmost respect for because I can't.
Yeah.
So,
And we're talking often when we talk about these things, you get it the best you can in camera, and then some of these cropping things you're doing afterwards. You can't obviously add more face if you didn't have it, but you could
Right.
could crop it somewhat. You don't want to go crazy with it in case the parents go, "Oh my God, I love that shot of the hand," and then they want a
Right.
huge blow up of
Yeah.
it. Like you said, if you crop too tight, you won't be able to do that. But you should, almost like a sports, you should be snapping away with some of these.
Right. And I think, too, a lot of aspiring portrait or infant photographers, anybody who works in any of these businesses where you take photos of people, I think, and Mike, I hope you'll agree with me on this, I think that it's really important. A lot of people will be like, well, I got to study this and I got to learn how to do this and I got to do that. Just get in there and do it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna find out from the people that you work with what works. They're gonna give you feedback.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, you can't listen to every piece of feedback that you get from everybody because everybody has different tastes,
And
right?
you got to be you, yeah.
Right. But you'll notice when a photo comes along that you feel very strongly about and they feel very strongly about, that's the one you want to make the mental note of and say, I'm onto something here. And that's the one you'll hold on to. You'll have some that you'll be like, I don't know about this, but hey, if they like it, then it's a winner. They're paying you for the job. And so I think a lot of people spend a lot of time. When I was teaching, I found there was a whole bunch of people who were trying to build the perfect mousetrap before they even knew if there was a mouse.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to get out there and you have to try, and you will figure out what works and what doesn't, and you'll get better along the way. And it's a growing process. Don't sell yourself short about growth and failure, because that's how we learn and get better. And I know as kids, we're always taught, don't do this or don't fail. Always do better. And yeah, we want to do better, but we have to fail in order to do better in what we do. So you have to let that go. It's very hard for a lot of people to fail at something, and I'm one of those people. It's very hard when I fail at something. And it's very hard for me to admit I fail at something too, and so that makes it even more difficult. But if you can get over that, you will learn from that situation. And that's the best part of failure, is that you learn to move forward, to better yourself and to better what you do. So anybody out there who wants to learn to do this sort of thing and wonders if you're doing the right thing, you're doing the wrong thing, Kristen, if the parents love this shot, you're a winner. There you go.
And I think she did a great job with this. And this is her first, she said this is her first 48-hour session.
Oh, amazing. Oh, all right. I thought, wow, that's even more amazing.
Yeah, I don't think she was saying it was the first for this baby, because obviously they only have 48 hours.
Right.
It was first for her.
Awesome.
All right. And up next is, let me get this one here. There's another image from Kristen.
Hey.
And in this one, Kristen says, this image, and this is not going to be for the streaming part of it, but this is what the comments say. This image
Okay.
is full size. I've taken this little boy's photos since he was in his mama's tummy. I had his mom and dad parachute a blanket above him, and this was the result of one of them. The blanket is out of frame, but I just love his smile in this image. So I guess she was using the blanket to either for the sun or to get him to be that happy.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if you ever did this in school, and I mean this is going to date me, of course, but yeah, I think I remember from grade school where we used to do the parachute thing, where they'd get the parachute and whip it up and down,
Yeah.
and down, and then they'd all get inside of it, and the parachute would stay like a big bubble until it slowly came down. I think that's probably what they were doing
Okay.
with the blanket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's a great tip. First off, right there, if you're working with kids, because boy, I'm telling you what, no matter what you want them to do, usually they want to do exactly the opposite. So if you can pull that off, and my thing with this image is just the focus seems to be a little bit forward on the hand, and if anything, one of the hardest things to do with any action shot is to get the focus, because they're not like that. This kid is not holding still right now.
Right.
Right. And so you've got to be tack sharp, and your camera's got to, be able to handle that eye focus or point focus. One of the tricks that I would do with this type of photography and help my composition a little bit is I would move my focus point. I would use a spot focus first off, and I would move the spot in my camera to the right thirds of the image, or the left thirds, depending on which way the action was going. And that would force me to focus on that part of the image and compose with negative space properly in the opposite side of the image. So for me, he's a little bit too close to the center of the image, and I would like to see him a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit more, less targeted here, and a little bit more to the right. And if you put your focus spot over there, you're not doing that thing where I see a lot of people, you know how you press your shutter button halfway and it'll lock focus,
Right.
or you'll have a lock focus, or you'll have a back focus button that'll lock the focus. A lot of people will target the subject, lock focus, and then wait for the moment and click it. You need to basically move your focus point and be tracking with that focus and then click it, because that, by the time you get done locking focus and then composing, the moment is usually over. So that learning that trick with moving your spot focus point, or using, some cameras have eye focus where they can actually see the eye and they will focus only on the eye. I know all the Sony cameras have eye focus that does, you have it in continuous mode. It will find the eye, it'll track the eye, and no matter where they are in the frame, that
Yeah, that's
eye
pretty
will
good.
be in
Nikon
focus.
doesn't have that.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. But for most cameras, you can get a spot focus and you can move it within a zone, right, inside the viewfinder. And usually I would move it to the right or left, and not keep it centered. A lot of people will have it in the center, and they'll be focusing on the center. So just, keep that in mind. That's usually the technique that I use, or things that you can try. But that was my only thing. I think it's a great photo. Got him smiling. He looks like he's having fun. I'm sure the parents absolutely love it. And it's a really nitpicky thing that the focus is a little forward. I don't think that, most parents are probably even going to notice that. For me, I notice it mostly in the hair, because I can see his hand in the fabric. I can see the lines in the fabric very clear. But if you look at his hair, you can't see the lines very clear. So that shows me where the focus point is there. It's a little,
when I'm like, just yesterday I was out shooting a basketball game, and I struggle sometimes with moving it too far to the right or too far to the left, the focus point,
Right.
because the action's going all over the place.
sure.
But I am trying to do that, and I have to move it some. But what I do is, rather than keep it on that middle plane, is I'll move it up one or maybe
Oh.
two, because that way I'm trying to get that focus to be on more of the head rather
Right,
than on the
right.
chest.
Sure.
Chest is an easier target, but often when the ball is right there, or their hands are right there, or
Right.
maybe they're leaning forward, I'll get a focus that is not, sharper somewhere else and not on their face. So if I
Right.
move
Yeah.
that focus point up one plane or maybe even two, depending on where it is,
Yep.
and then still going left to right if you want to with the focus, you have a
Right.
better chance of getting it there.
Yeah, and if you folks are wondering, like, well, doesn't a wide focus help you like cover a bigger area? It actually doesn't. A lot of times, if you use a wider focus, like if you're using like a instead of a spot focus, you're using like the wide angle focus on your camera. A lot of cameras will tend to focus on the things that are closest,
Yep.
or back focus on things that are in your background. So that's why you would want to use a spot focus in this, and a continuous focus at that.
I
So
always
that,
use continuous. The other thing to be
yep.
careful of, and I don't think it's here, but if you're shooting wide open at 2.8 or even less, know how
Mm,
much. What is your depth of field?
yeah,
It,
right,
it has to do with that plus your distance to the subject. So you may
right,
be far enough away; it doesn't matter. But it could be that your distance is you only got an inch or 2 inches
yep,
or a little bit more, and
yep,
then that time whenever the ball comes up, it's not a ball in this one, but the ball comes up and the focus is right
right,
there. It's 6 inches from his face, so
right.
I've lost focus on the face.
Yeah, and light can be the big factor there too, right? Trying to get the speed, get it clear, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Fill lights are huge. When you have kids, a lot of times flashes will freak kids out. They will hate them. It just scares them. They don't know what's going on. Putting a flash pointing towards a reflector, having the put the reflector down on the ground, point your flash towards the reflector and bounce it off the reflector back at them is a lot less intimidating than a flash right in the eyes or a flash on the face, using it as a fill flash. And then at that you can basically sync it then so that it's bouncing light up, and then you can shoot it 5.6. You can shoot it, something that's a little closed down, so you've got that focus depth there that you normally wouldn't have. I love to shoot in natural light, Mike.
Yep.
But when I do, my subjects don't move. I make sure they're not moving, because in order to get that clear and whatnot. But if you're shooting action, you don't have any choice.
Right.
With kids, you don't usually have any choice. They're always moving. That's what they do. And so, yeah, reflectors can be a good friend there, and be able to bounce your flash off that, having the flash on the ground, and using a remote unit to do that. You can get a Yongnuo dual flash kit with a radio for like $150, and they're really good.
Right.
I mean, they work really well. I've had a kit for quite a while and use them often. And so, yeah, if you need that fill light, natural light's wonderful, but
Sometimes it's not enough.
Right, exactly. Great photo, though.
All right, thanks, Kristen. That is the end of the beginners group for November. And now we're going to go into the regulars group.
Hey.
So first up over there in the regulars group is this one from Daryl Harrington. And Daryl says, I was about a week late for peak foliage in Central Park, but tried to make the most of what I was given.
Yep.
I just simply wanted to create as much of the scene as possible without having to shoot it in pano, keeping the sky to a minimum since there was zero clouds.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot of Bow Bridge. This is, if anybody's familiar with Central Park, this is the John Lennon Bridge, essentially. John Lennon stayed in the Dakota, which is the building that you're looking at in the background. So it's, it's a very sentimental area for a lot of folks. I think he did a great job with this. I was very jealous that he was able to get a nice, calm lake. I have lots of shots of this bridge. I was absolutely fascinated with this area when I was in. Every time I go to New York City, I basically go to Central Park and go here. Zero clouds. You did a great job, Daryl, of good example here, folks. So we talked about horizons before, and we talked about the horizon being in the middle. Now here's a case where Daryl's using reflective symmetry. And the reason why he chose that, obviously, is because the water was nice and calm, but also because he had a lack of clouds in the sky. And the sky wasn't the story here. If the sky was like this amazing color and all these clouds, he probably would have left the reflective symmetry out of it, shown the calm water, but would have maybe pulled back a little bit more and gotten more of the sky. But in this case, he did right by going with a panoramic shot here, 16 by 9 or 16 by 10 wider angle, or 1 by 85. It's pretty wide. So he did a great job there. In this time of year, beautiful. There's a little bit of detritus in the water. I think the shot is spotless up into a very few points. There's a little dot over on the right-hand side that kind of draws my eye. That's a leaf or something floating in the water there. I would have cloned that out. And then he's got up in the upper right-hand corner. And Daryl, this is one thing I tell everybody, because you're so focused on the center of the image, one of the things that we often miss is what I call border patrol, which is looking around the outside edges of the image. So you've got kind of a tree up there that looks like if this was an HDR or the tree was moving or something, a longer exposure, you've got a tree that's like moving. So you've got this kind of like drawn out tree branch up there in the upper right-hand corner. I would have probably cleaned that up a little bit. Other than that, though, gorgeous image. Very jealous that you got here at this time of year. I can never seem to find time in the fall to get down to New York City. I love going there in the winter. Central Park in the snow is unreal. If you ever get a chance to be down there during their snow time, it is a whole new world, of course, in this area too. But he did an excellent job here.
This is a gorgeous photo. This is one I could see, putting on the wall. This one's really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a wall hanger for sure. So nice job, Daryl.
Yep, nice. Thank you, Daryl. He makes his way around. He's a good traveling photographer.
Yep.
All right, up next is this image not from Daryl. Hold on.
Right.
From Ebenezer. There we go.
Hey.
Ebenezer. And Ebenezer, one thing, you never give us a lot of information, and he doesn't disappoint this time. He says, pelican basking.
Yeah. So it's a good shot. It's a little tight, I think. Feels targeted to me. I don't know about you, Mike, but it's just so tight that I think I would have rather seen it a little bit of this background. It looks like there's a pretty cool park here or something. And another reason for that I think that maybe pulling back a little bit more is if you notice that line in the background there in the upper top, and again, the dark triangle in the corner.
That's been the theme for tonight.
Right. That line is quite slanted, even though it looks like the flow of the water up close is straight. The whole image is actually leaning down to the left. And that always gives us a feeling of balance. And in this image goes even farther, and we have a pelican holding its wings out, which makes me. It gives me the look of like, oh no, I might fall over. And so anytime we have a horizon, anytime we have water, and we tilt the image, it lends a sense of tension to the image, even if it's subliminal. It's not what the human mind is used to seeing or feeling. If we went to a planet where all the water was tilted, we'd be very uneasy and uncomfortable because we'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't happen. So always be careful of those lines in the background. He could have vignetted or darkened this up maybe, and that line would have disappeared a little bit and drawn us more direct and not had that kind of sense of leaning. But I would have pulled back a little bit. I don't know about you, Mike, but it seems like it's a little too tight for me.
Pulled back or gone even tighter, but then you would have chopped off the wings. You could have gone with maybe a different crop and cropped off some of the top.
Yeah, I think even wider image. Although animals in cinematic format. Well, not so much on land. I don't know what it's like. If flying animals are in action, if they're in action. But just stationary animals like this in panoramics sometimes don't work if the it isn't. So right now, the way it is, it's another targeted image where we have our subject and then it's surrounded by everything that's competing with it. We got this cool looking water and we got a bush behind there, and it's every side of it's got things encroaching on it. And so that creates a weird competition in the image for the power of the image. That's why I always suggest when you're first starting out, work with the golden spiral, work with the thirds, learn those and why they're powerful, and then you can start messing with your composition a little bit more and including more of a story in the image. But you have to know those basics before you start doing that. And so this is a very targeted image. I'd like to see him, kind of not have this like the pelican and then have the water over on one side would be amazing, and show a little bit of the nature that where this pelican is at, or tighter, like you said. I would, even if it was at the expense of the wings outwards, that expression on the face of the pelican, the wings, we're going to paint that in with our minds. We're going to paint that in there. But it just seems a little too close in for me on this image with the current format that it's in. I'd like to see him pull back a little bit. But amazing catch. And Ebenezer, if you have a location like this which you can go back to all the time,
go there,
have
often,
fun with it, man. Try all this different stuff and see what works for you. I mean, if this photo works for you and you sold 15,000 copies, then more power to you, and we know nothing.
Especially with these bigger birds, you have a lot of options to catch them flying in, taking off. Yeah, they're fun to shoot. Photos.
Oh, pelicans are awesome, man. And when we were in San Francisco shooting pelicans, and they fly in formation, we call it, they're squadrons, and they look awesome. I mean, huge wingspans, and so it's really cool. So good job.
Good job. Okay, up next is this image from Spencer Sullivan.
And holy cow, Mike! I just noticed that holy cow, you got a lot of photos this month.
Yeah, we may not go through all of them.
Okay,
but I mentioned Ebenezer gives us very little information. He gave us more than Spencer. Spencer gave us nothing. So
this is a cool image.
Shot. I like this shot.
You know where this is at, Mike?
I have no clue. I don't get around as much as you.
I only know because I've been there so many times. This is in Yellowstone. This is Grand Prismatic in Yellowstone. Early in the morning, I can tell you that. And the only reason I know all of this is because I was fortunate in 2017 to take a bunch of friends out there and be able to shoot early in the morning. And I've been there a couple of times, and it's been during the day. And essentially during the day, it always looks the same. There's 1,000 people on this boardwalk. The color's always the same. I don't know. It's just, it's like you can take one picture and be like, yeah, that's it. During the morning and the evening, this place gets weird, and the fog from the geysers and the light is always really spectacular. So I really like this shot a lot. I think the processing could use some work a little bit. And I also know that with this image, he probably went with the bench being level, which is good, but the angle that the bench is on probably, because he leveled that, made the boardwalk look like it's going up. Spencer, definitely always look at your landscape first. This area here where Grand Prismatic is at is absolutely flat, so you should have gone by the boardwalk first. And so you've got a difficult image here to make look level, because if you did that, then the bench is going to look tilted. A little tough to deal with. I like the minimalism of this image.
I do too.
Just
I like how he got low with it too.
But I think that omitting the bench makes this 1,000 times more powerful. Edit that bench out, level the photo, and you're going to be like, holy crap. I really believe that.
Yeah, I love that it turned up black and white, and I love the sky in this image.
And there's a lot of color here. I mean, but during the mornings, it's very monochromatic. I took a picture of my friend Greg while he was taking a photo out on the boardwalk. It's one of my favorite shots from the shoot, and maybe at the end of here I can show you that shot. And it's just the middle, but the colors are very different during the middle of the day. It's very brilliant, bright purples and oranges and aqua colors during the day because of this geyser. It's very big and deep, and that's why they call it Grand Prismatic. But then in the mornings, it's very monochromatic. You get a cool sunrise, and the colors can be amazing, or it might just be a total whiteout, which it looks like it might have been this morning, was a little grayer. And so I think he did a great job by going black and white. And I like the minimalism. I just think that we take the bench out, and I think get the boardwalk level on the right hand side. And I think he's got an award-winning photo here. So I think it's a well thought out image. So,
All right, thanks, Spencer. Up next is image from our friend Millen.
hey, Millen.
And what I love about what Millen did here is he found something just, I think 99% of us would just walk by.
Yep.
That's what I loved about this one, is he just found this in the. Let me see what his words are here. Found this as he's walking through. He says, "Autumn is almost over here in northern Bulgaria. My last trip to the village, I stopped to a nearby place in order to take some shots. There was small water pond and some leaves that had fallen in it. The contrast and colors caught my attention because the leaves were yellow and orange and the water was bluish from reflective light. I didn't have too much time to get a tripod, so I shot handheld."
I did a good job, I think. Says he shot it at f5.6 ISO 400. Looks nice and clean. He's shooting with a D7200 too, so good job there. Love the colors. That was the first thing that popped out to me, is the blue, and I really like that a lot. Millen, for me though, the image, there's a lot of competition in this image between those leaves and that rock, and I can't decide on which of those two things I like the most. And so I constantly am searching. My eyes are searching through the leaves, searching through the rock, searching through the leaves. I'm just going back and forth and back and forth. And that's a lot of times what composition of two subjects will do to you. They're in competition with each other. And the way you can avoid that is that you could have used the rock as a foreground part of the image and then focused on just the leaf, or done the opposite around, which means you probably would have had to been in the pond, because most of the time the rocks are,
Yeah, I don't know if the plane of those two are far enough apart where you could do that.
Well, if you get down low and get close with a macro, you can do some pretty cool stuff with leaves. And it looks like it was pretty close here. 85 millimeter. It says 18 to 140 millimeter kit lens, which does pose a little problems when it comes to using kit lenses and doing, close-up images a lot of times. But I just think that there's a lot of competition between the two, and you still would have had all the colors that you had. You still could have processed it like this, which would have been beautiful. It's just there's a lot of competition when you put two whole subjects in the frame. I got a whole rock and I got a whole cluster of leaves there together, and they're just kind of fighting back and forth with each other. So pick your subject and then make the other part that you wanted to shoot, make that support your subject. That's what you should think about when you're composing. And then maybe you're undecided on the two. Like an image like this, we talk about, I don't consider this image a failure. I think it color's good and it makes me think of autumn. So I think that that's a success. But what I look at is, like, if it was my image, I'd look at it as a learning process. I'd be like, okay, how can I make this image better? I'm always looking at all of my images saying, how can I make them better? How can I do better at this next time? Can I one-up myself? That's like the constant thing that I'm always thinking about in my head when I'm shooting. Can I do better than I did last time? I like that one shot I did. Can I do this one better than I did that? So I would just look at this image and think, well, next time maybe I'll try from the leaf perspective, or maybe the leaf on its own, or maybe use the rock as a foreground subject, to try to support the close-up of the leaf. Because I think I like the detail in the leaf and the water. That's what
I do like the detail in that yellow leaf. Yeah.
Yeah, but I always like when there's lichen and moss on rocks too, is very gorgeous and beautiful to look at. And I want to also remind everybody, very hard to capture that and make it look good without making it look like it's completely fluorescent looking. And I think he did a good job with the colors here. They're vibrant, but they're not too vibrant to the point where it doesn't look natural.
Yeah,
so
I like the yellow and blue mix.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job.
Good job, Millen. All right, up next is, let me find it. Where is it? Here it is. This image from Gina Clark.
Hey, Gina Clark.
Gina Clark. And Gina never gives us much information either, but she says Poppy in the woods. And I think Poppy is what she calls this child.
Yep.
And all I got to say for Gina is she is, from the first time I've known her to now, her editing capabilities have just, skyrocketed. She does a fantastic job of the post-processing.
Yeah, I think that first off, Gina, thank you for submitting your image and inspiring other people, because I think this image should inspire people. Great use of tones and colors. Great use of contrast. The red jacket is very iconic. The red umbrella, the red standing
Hood,
out.
Little Riding Hood.
Right, exactly. So all the things about this image I really enjoy. She darkened up the edges enough to give it kind of that mysterious look. I love the hand gesture going on.
Yep.
So all the way around, I would say it's a good award-winning image. She did an excellent job here. So, and she should be very proud.
Yep, excellent photo.
Yep.
That's really all we can critique on that one.
Yeah, we can't go any farther. Look, folks, study that. It's great use of tone and great use of softness. Everything about that image works really well. And even though the subject is in the center, it works because it's a symmetrical image. She's got the woods and everything are around the outside, and that all works very well in her composition. So.
Yep. All right. Up next is this image from Amber. And Amber says okay, so you have to be part of our Facebook group to know this, but she says, as I mentioned in the group, I'm in the middle of buying and selling a house, which is an awful process, by the way, house, and posted this image. I decided I may not get a chance to shoot again to enter the before the deadline. Everything is disorganized, and even though I'm so busy, I was itching to shoot. So no composition. This is not a composition. This is as it was. No composition this time with Loki, the name of the dog. One light setup. I wanted to present a mood to it, but not quite sure I reached it.
I think it goes to composition again, as far as just targeting the subject right in the center of the image. Amber, if you crop this down just a little bit and move the dog to, I think, the right-hand side of the image, the right-hand thirds, you got a winner. The bright white box is really distracting to me away from the dog, where you have all the other brown boxes going on. Unless you're going to use that white box as kind of like the subject matter of the image, like you have the yellow tape dispenser on there, which is great. I can see it. It works well with all the colors and things that are going on, but the white box is kind of doesn't work as well. Your watermark is excellent, by the way. I want to just say, I don't know if anybody caught the watermark in the lower hand or lower right.
I did. No, I missed it.
She drew it on the box. It's actually it's written on the box. It's not her watermark. I'm sure she just wrote it on the bottom of the box. But no, I think it's a great shot. Your dog is always amazing and has the greatest expressions. It just comes down to that targeting thing. Generally, when we put the subject right in the center, if it's not a symmetrical shot, which means that, if we go back to the last shot, everything's a circular around the child. So it's basically like a zooming in shot of the child. So it's very symmetrical. And we do want to mention too, I keep hitting my mic, Mike, I'm sorry. Christina, it does mention the light. Yeah, the tone, the light is awesome as well in that shot. But you can see how the child was centered there, but everything was symmetrical around. This shot is not as symmetrical. So we have the boxes are a little more over to the right on the right-hand side, a little tighter in on the left-hand side. It lopsides the photo enough that it's not symmetrical, but your subject is in the center of it. And I would put your subject a little bit more to the right, and I think you would see that it would pop a little bit more. And your same vignette and everything that you have here looks great. The light looks great, nice and dramatic on the side. But what an amazing subject that she has to be able to shoot this doggo, just like hang out for her like this. Yes. I mean,
I think
amazing.
She has two dogs that look like this, one Thor, one Loki.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what they're like in her life, but in the photos she shares with us, they seem like they're very good at posing and waiting for her to get the shot for her, and cooperative models.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And she gets some amazing compositions and with them as well. And she always learns from all this stuff. I don't usually go this deep on talking about this stuff, but she always takes everything that we say and she runs with it. So But yeah, keep it up, Amber. I love it. Your dogs are definitely the stars of the show every time. So,
All right, next we're going to do Norman's shot. Norman's out there in chat. So
hey, Norman.
let me find Norman's name. Norman. And Norman says, the quiet before the storm on Lake Michigan. Love the way the lake was so calm and took on a green tone. The old broken pier just seemed to go on forever.
Yeah, simplicity, right? Always wins out. Yeah, it's again with the horizon, guys. Always remember what's the main subject here. So Norman talks like the pier for him was really doing it, and the color of the water. The sky is, it's okay. But there's no symmetry to the there's no reflection on the water really to speak of. So here's a thing where I would have put the horizon up to the upper thirds of the image and cut the sky down to very, very compressed sky so that we really focus on that pier in the way that it goes out there in that beautiful colored water. Other than that, I think it's a great image. I think, Norman, I think you could do that by cropping it from the top right downwards, and you won't lose much of the pier. You will cut off that straggle bush that's on the right-hand side, which is kind of, not really doing much for your image. But the main subject, I like how the pier goes out into the center. That's fine as well. But yeah, just be careful of your horizons. Lake Michigan, guys, go see it. It's a beautiful lake. It has these tones of blue and aqua colors that are just mesmerizing. I did a whole series of shots on it this year and was blown away by the color. We went to this small town and looked into the water, and it looked like it was in a tropical island someplace. And it's the lake, and it's all this beautiful blue-green aquamarine color. It's just fascinating. So, but yeah, Norman, if you live out that way, keep doing it, man. It's great subject matter.
Thanks, Norman. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the last image here, AD.
Okay.
So the last one here is from, I don't know if he has ever submitted. He's been in a group for a long time, posted in a group a lot, but I don't know if Carl Mecklenburg has ever submitted. If you have, sorry, Carl. But Carl is a fantastic photographer, and I love the images he shares with us. This being his first time submitting, he probably doesn't know to give us more information. So all he gives us is
okay.
Autumn by the lake.
Cool. And I wouldn't have, so it might be autumn, but it doesn't look like autumn to me. So I don't see a lot of colors.
Right.
Looks like late autumn to me. Regardless of that, though, does it show a story here? Does it tell a story? And I think it does. He's got reflective symmetry going on. We talk about that. We talked about that tonight. He does have a dark corner of the image, a little too vignetted for me. A little dark in the skies and up top. He's got a lot of movement. One of the very tough things to do when you're shooting outside is to stop trees from moving. Man, I'll tell you what. And a lot of times what I'll do, so I'll share, just this helps me a lot. I've had a lot of situations where I'll shoot like waterfalls, and I want to slow the water down, so I'll shoot a long exposure, but there'll be some tree next to me that will have a branch going like this, and that just comes out like this blur, like someone waved their arm in my photo. So what I've learned to do is shoot two photos. I'll shoot one for the water and then one for the foreground trees. The foreground trees will be a fast, I'll set my shutter speed so that it stops the motion immediately. And then I'll do a long exposure for the water, and then I'll blend those two images together so that I can defy nature and its wanting to screw my photos up. So, but I can bring back the image that I wanted to present to people. Because I wasn't looking at that tree moving around. You don't want a tree like waving at you while you're trying to take a photo of this beautiful waterfall.
Right.
So and a lot of times you can't avoid it. There's always going to be the foliage there. For some reason, plants like water. I don't understand. But so
life.
So I think he did a great job here. It's just you got to be real careful with moving around trees. So maybe a faster shutter speed. I don't know. Carl, please submit information on here's what we like to hear. We say it every show, so this is a great opportunity. Carl's helping everybody learn here, and hopefully we can help him a little bit. When you submit your photo, please tell me why you pressed the shutter button. Why did you do it? Not, it was a beautiful autumn day and the temperature was, I don't know. You didn't go out to take photos because of that. You went out to take photos because you liked this lake and you liked the sunset at this lake meant something to you. Tell me about that. Tell me about why you composed it the way that you composed it. What made you press that shutter button at that moment in time, and then how you processed it, if you processed it. I want to hear like, well, I put a vignette on here because I wanted to pull your eye in towards the center. Then we have some subject matter about your creativity that we can talk about. Otherwise, a photo is really as good as it is important to you. So when you take a photo, if it's an important photo to you, nothing I can say about it to you is going to change the way you feel about that photo, it's going to change the way you feel about me. I may offend you if I say something because I basically don't know what you were going for. So it always helps when Mike and I know what you're trying to achieve with your photo. If you guys can supply that, this show will explode in popularity. Just tell us why, and then we can go off that, and we can maybe we'll reinforce your creativity when it's positive. If you're stuck, it'll help you get over the creative roadblocks that you're facing. And if you're completely lost, it'll help you get out of that hole that you're in. If otherwise, it's going to be considered criticism, and this is not a.
That's not what we want to do. Yeah.
Right. We're not criticizing photos here. We're critiquing photos, and more importantly, we're giving feedback on photos, which I think is the most important. And feedback is based upon your goals as an artist, and everybody's goals are different. You all should be different. You're all different people. Even though we're all the same, we're all different as well. And I think that's a hard concept for a lot of people to grasp in the art world especially. We want to learn from somebody, but we don't want to emulate them or be the same as them. We want to take what they have taught us, what we've learned from them, what we are inspired from by them, and then we want to mold it into our own thing. And it's okay to show your inspiration. Like we saw Scott Norris earlier had inspired somebody to take a photo, and boom, beautiful photo. It was his own photo, and he admitted, he said, Scott Norris
was his inspiration,
his inspiration. That's so important. When I was in music, people would be like, well, that song sounds like so-and-so, and this song sounds like, I'd be like, thank you. That's exactly what inspired me to write this song. And I learned from that, right? I learned from that session. I learned from writing that song that way. And then the next song may sound less like the other one did, like that person, and it'll be more my own the next time. Right. So that happens naturally as a progression as an artist. So make sure that you tell us what you're going for, man, so we can help you, because that's really important. So Carl, submit more photos, man. Mike says he loves your photos, and I want to see more of them. Please send them in and tell us what you're going for, so that we can move as a group forward, because I learned from that stuff as well. So,
and we all learn from listening to AD give us information. I've, Border Patrol. There's so many. I need to write these things down. I got a little notebook right here. But some of those things are going through my head, and then when I go out to shoot, I have a little AD in my head who's saying, "What did AD say?"
I'm sorry.
All right. So thanks everybody for submitting. Next, we'll be getting into the December contest on next show. But until then, if you want to subscribe, head over to jpeg2RAW.com/subscribe. And over there, you can subscribe through iTunes, video large, video small, through YouTube. If you're already on YouTube watching us live, and you're not subscribed, just do that. Or over on Vimeo. We only produce this in video format. There's not an audio format, because we really think you need to see the video part of it. That, and then we talked about this in the pre-show, and now we're going to have to do it all over again here during the show. AD has coming up over on his thecreators.com over on Patreon.
That's okay.
You have your first show for 2019 coming up tomorrow.
Finally. Yes.
What are you doing?
Yep, 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Eastern Daylight Time. We're going to be talking about Luminar 3 and Luminar with libraries now that they finally put the library function in. And we're going to be talking about video editors that are not Adobe products that are still good, because and not Final Cut Pro. So no Apple products, no Adobe products, no products that start with an A. But I found a couple of editors that I really like a lot, and they're single purchase. You buy it once. One of the things I'm trying to get away with is a subscription fee. No offense to Adobe, but $58 a month is a lot of money for me to spend on a couple of pieces of software that I still use them every day, but that's still a lot of money. And what I'm doing now is doing more video and whatnot. So I'm earning money through videos and Patreon. It's not like I used to do, where I was earning money each week on my job teaching people. So it's a little different. I earn money once a month. And so it's a little tighter for me. So a subscription doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah. So this is just alternatives. So we're going to be talking about functionality and is this stuff ready for, to move over? I get questions all the time. People ask me, like, tell me something I can get other than Photoshop or something other than Lightroom, and that's where we're going to go with this. I did want to mention, Mike, when you're talking about YouTube and where you can find this show, make sure you guys over on YouTube, there is a little bell down in that corner down there, over there. Make sure that you click the little bell, because that's going to it's going to send you an email when we go live, and it's going to give you a pop-up on YouTube. If you have a television and you have YouTube on it, it'll give you a notification to let you know when the show is going to go live. Yeah, you can watch this on your TV in your living room now with smart TVs, all that kind of stuff. YouTube, I still think is a preferred format for this, especially for interaction, so you guys can talk to us. We can clearly see the YouTube chat, and I'm not on Facebook, so I can't see that. Yeah. And it seems to work all the time. Yeah. so yeah, we're doing that show tomorrow night
at 8 Eastern.
It's total. Yep. And the first show of the year is free. You don't have to be a Patreon subscriber to see the show tomorrow night. I will be posting the link in Patreon as a public link tomorrow morning. You will be able to tune in and watch it live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and I will be talking about Luminar 3 and demonstrating some of the new features in that. I'll be talking about a couple of new video programs that I am using now to produce some videos with. And I'll be taking questions and all that kind of stuff. It's a short show. We usually do 30 to 40 minutes at most. I try to keep it to like 30 minutes. So, demonstration and answering questions are usually the best part of the whole conversation. So, yeah.
Well, go over there and check out the creators.com over on Patreon. And if you want to get in touch with AD, the explorographer.com is the place to get in touch with him. All his links are there. Who is AD? Go over to Who is AD. And just come down here, and here's the little, I gotta go down further, little form to fill out and contact him. But also he has his articles, his photos, his store, everything you want to know there about AD, and links to your social media.
Yep, I'm not on much. I'm on Twitter these days.
Because Google Plus is dying.
Google Plus is going away. There are some new social media sites. I don't know if I'm going to get too involved. I really have always been, and I've worked with a lot of photographers, I've always been kind of the guy who was like, start your seed, and Mike will agree with me, at your website, because any of these websites can go away. These social media things can go away. Facebook, believe it or not, could go away. Google Plus, going away. Right now, Tumblr is struggling with its new restrictions on its content. It might go away. If the user base isn't there and they're not making money through data mining and through advertising, they're not making money. Those servers don't run.
Yeah.
So essentially, if you have your own website, and don't go with a provider, get with somebody who has a server, get a website with them that is, not a pre-made thing. You can start that way, but I always suggest that people get a website that you can customize and you can make it your own, like a WordPress-based website that's quite easy to manipulate and quite easy to hire somebody to work on for you. And start there. I know it's really hard. We want to post to Facebook and we want instant likes and we want people to see it. We want to know what people are doing. But in the long run, I can tell you that all of that means absolutely nothing. And can go away in a heartbeat, and you can invest an awful lot of time into that and lose it all because someone didn't file the proper data privacy rights, or something goes wrong in court with these people, and they're all in the hot seat right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I suggest if you want to be successful, post on your website first and share from your website out to the social media places. Make the website the middle of the target. Have everything else go out. Yeah, the hub. Yep. And make everything go out from there. And that's going to help you gain an audience that will stick with you. It won't be click farms. It won't be these, audiences that you could purchase and that means nothing. They won't buy your product. They won't support you. And your website will be there for you. And won't just disappear overnight. And you can move websites around. It's quite easy to pack up a website and move it up to another server if you need to. But you can't move Facebook. So
yeah, I was going to say that too. That you get a provider. Let's say I'm with DreamHost right now. At one point, I was at Bluehost.
Yeah, me too.
There's lots of people out there. Bluehost wasn't doing what I wanted, so I just moved jpeg2RAW over to DreamHost. And if you ever visit this website, you have no idea that it moved.
Right.
Because I control that, I control the email for that. If you create that thing, there may be times where most of your traffic is happening somewhere over on Facebook. You're getting a lot of likes over there, but eventually they change some algorithm and the likes come down, or the views come down, or whatever, and you move somewhere else. But like AD's saying, if you're wanting to do this more and more for a business, or get people to view your photos more, having your website be the central hub of all your sharing and all that kind of stuff will in the long run pay off, because you control that, or at least you have the most control over that.
Right. And I host my photos with SmugMug. I know other people host with other folks. I embed the photos in my stories in my website from SmugMug. And what happens is, because SmugMug is ranked higher in Google rankings than I personally am, and because my photos are tagged, people can find my photos on SmugMug and then get led to my website from there. And then when they view my photos again on my website, I get hits on SmugMug, which moves me up their rank. So it's that nice thing of having my own website. That's not going to happen on Facebook. When you upload a photo to Facebook, they own it.
Yep.
So, or Instagram or wherever, which Instagram is Facebook, by the way, in case you don't know. I'm always careful with, start at my website and start there. And I used to think every post on a website had to be a big, long post. You can post to your website the same way. Imagine if you started today posting to your website like you did to Facebook every day, and your blog post every day was interesting, and then you share that to Facebook and share that to Twitter and so on and so forth. You're going to see that your subscriber on your website is going to go up, and people are going to start making more trips to the source rather than picking it up third hand or wherever down the line. And you have to understand, like Mike said, with algorithms, Facebook is in it for money. Facebook is free to you to use, but they're using your data. They're using what you do, your clicks, to make money. And so their algorithms are constantly changing to make Facebook the most money that they possibly can off all of these photos and all these clicking that's going on. When they change an algorithm to make more money, you might be at the bottom side of that algorithm and you're out of the loop. And then you've lost your audience.
Yep.
And when you build your audience from your website, you own it. You keep it. It's your interest. It's where you're making direct contact with people. I think it's just a much better way to go. Right. And when I post on WordPress, if people are subscribed to my website, they get a little email that says a little blurb that says the first part of the story. And if you want to read more, come on over to the website. It doesn't spam you. It doesn't send you this big, long, junk. I don't do email newsletters, that kind of stuff. It's just a little thing that says, hey, AD posted something new today. If you want to read it, it's there. Go check it out.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right. Good advice to end on. First show of 2019. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And we're going to head into the post show. So until next show, keep shooting. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.
Post show.
God, not to be gross, but my nose is so stopped up. I can't wait till we're done here so I can take care of that. And
I hear you.
Yeah.
My over the last few days, my voice has been getting like, rah. So
I don't think you can catch it through this microphone.
I don't think so.
So if you got it, it's not from me.
No, I think I get mine from yelling at super mutants, I think.
So I was joking earlier when I said it's been a long time since AD and I talked. We talk every day now.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I don't know.
Thanks,
Don't know.
Christina.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I'm gonna play.
Yeah.
Of that particular game until they release some new content, but I think we've time to get Mike now equally enthralled with Elder Scrolls Online. So
Yeah. This has been a real big time suck for me. So that's what I needed. Another one.
that's all I need. Take more time. I'm getting divorced next month. Thanks.
I did feel really good when I went out yesterday. Well, at first I felt, I got to go do this shoot. I don't have to, but I wanted to go do this shoot of this basketball game. And it's going to take me away from the video game. But then when I was there, I was like, God, I love being out. I love doing this. I need to get out and do this more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, it's good to get away from the computer every now and then. It's good to get away from the computer a lot.
I think the thing is, it's an interesting story. It's and we're talking about Fallout 76,
Yes.
guys. What we always talk about in the latest post shows. It's a culture. It's a thing where it's a multiplayer thing where you meet other people and you can do good things for people, which I think is neat in a video game, which normally isn't there. But I think it's a neat experience for everybody. But also, yeah, it can be a time suck. I set aside certain times of the day, and then the other times of the day I'm not doing. I have to take care of my regular business, or else I wouldn't get anything done. So, yeah.
That time management thing is a good thing in a lot of parts of our lives. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, you can definitely lose track of. Mike and I can get into a session and be playing, and suddenly it's
3:30 in the morning.
Mike's got to work. Whoops.
I don't think we've done that on a work day. I would track that, but we have done it on a weekend when I looked down, it was 3 o'clock. I was like, oh my gosh, 3 o'clock a.m. And my wife generally wakes up at like 4, so I'm having to sneak into the bed because the work. You know what the worst thing is if you wake up and you look at your clock and it's like 10 minutes before you're supposed to get up. It's like, come on.
Please apologize to your wife.
Yeah, so I don't want to wake her up right before she's supposed to wake up.
I mean, I don't want to say this is all my fault because it's not.
No, it's none. It's none of your fault. It's all. If I'm doing it, it's my fault. I'm a grown adult.
Oh, thank you, Jan. Christina, are you an Elder Scrolls player?
That's what it sounds like.
Man, we need to have like a alternate universe for all the
JPEG.
All the jpeg2RAW Elder Scrolls clan. They're just releasing Tamriel, like this whole new thing now, the Forbidden Island or whatever's coming out. And I'm not that deep into the ESO ecosphere yet. I've played a little bit with friends. It's a very it's a freaky, you think Fallout is crazy online, man. There's people running around with pets and flying things and all sorts of crazy stuff. It is really fun though. And you do these big dungeon crawls with people where you're fighting these giant beasts and stuff, and it's pretty cool.
I've never even looked at that game. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it's quite a bit different than Fallout. There's no guns or anything like that. I think it's mostly spells, and I think there's some archery in it, and maybe some of that sort of thing going on. But yeah, so. I haven't played for a minute. The husband still plays. Cool. We all should get a club going. I'm telling you, remember the D&D days, right? Where we have the dungeon master and all that stuff. I like it because it's free. I mean, you can download the game for free. You don't have to buy into all the extra stuff, everything you have to buy for Fallout 76. But for Elder Scrolls, you can just play it and you could play forever. I think on just what the basic content is there, but. They have really good podcasts and talk deep about the lore of the game, and it's pretty incredible. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you ever wonder how much AD likes Fallout 70 or 76, the Fallout series, the shirt, look in the background, got a Nuka-Cola bottle, 2 Nuka-Cola bottles back there, some bobbleheads,
Oh yeah.
the Power Roamer helmet.
There's actually 3 Nuka-Cola bottles.
Oh, yes. Is that a head laying down right there I can
No,
see?
there's one on
Oh.
the floor too. So, whoops. Yeah, I have a problem, but what
Well,
can I say?
I have problems too. All right,
Yeah,
speaking.
it's a fun world, but it's a time suck. I think we talked before. I think Fallout 4 is the game I played the most, and that was before I started working for the Arcanum and all that stuff. But I think my Steam account says I have 767 hours in that
Wow.
game.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And I think about it, yeah, I'm like, was the game just open that long, or did I actually? No, because you can't leave it open without someone coming along and killing you. So, must be I played that long.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'm going to
Yeah.
go ahead and end the live stream, and we'll see you next time. Good night, guys.